So Pagalagsi, Koyanagsi, Kairosi, I would like to welcome you all to our, I can't believe this is our fourth virtual Inupiaq Fine Arts Festival, like already our fourth. Hosted by the Inupiaq Studies Department here at Inupiaq. I would like to welcome you to our Fall 2021 Inupiaq Fine Arts Festival, and thank you all for coming to support our students, taking Inupiaq Studies fun artsy classes. So before we get started, I wanted to go over some protocols. So please press mute to prevent any background noises and echoing. If you are not talking, put yourself on mute. And when you are talking, please turn your video on so everyone can see you. And if you have any questions or comments, you can use the chat feature or hold off until maybe when we open it up or until the end. Also, viewing the Zoom screen, so you control the way you view the screen. And so at the top of your Zoom, there should be a picture that looks like, or like it should look like this, where you see this view button with some dots on there. So when you click on it, you have the option to view the screen either in speaker or gallery view. If you choose speaker view, whoever's talking will pop up on your screen. And if you choose gallery view, it will show everybody who is called into the festival. So however you decide you want to view your screen, you can press that. So I'll go ahead and introduce myself for those of you who are unfamiliar with who I am. Pagalalefsi, Uglulotaq, Koyanagefsi, Kairosi, Inupiaq Fine Arts Festival me, Inupiaq Siniga Nayup, Tanik Siniga Jericho Levitt, Amit Koya Rurunga, Utkarvi mi Rurunga, Katin nga Runga, Pikati Kaktunga, Ui Kaktunga Kayan Mik Pisugat, Savaktunga Ilisavig mi, Inupiaq Studies mi, Ilisauri Runga, Akaga Evelyn, Apaga Gerald, Piloto Niraktuk. So basically I said, welcome to our festival. My Inupiaq name is Nayuk and my English name is Jericho Levitt. I am from the Amit family. I'm from Utkarvik. I am married to Kayan. I work here at Inupiaq in the Inupiaq Studies Department. I am an instructor. My parents are Evelyn and Gerald Amit and Pilota Niraktuk. We are really working hard moving forward. So I'll go ahead and let Karun introduce herself.
Luluata, Pagalagipsi, Uvanga Karun, Tanik Sinira, Katie Roseberry, Utkarvigmi, Rurunga, Ilisaktunga, Ilisavigmi, Inupiaq Studies me. Hi everybody, good afternoon and welcome to our Fine Arts Festival today. My name is Karun, my English name is Katie Roseberry. I grew up here in Barrow and I work in Ilisavik alongside Nayuk in our Inupiaq Studies Department.
Ariga. So to set the tone of our festival, we will be lighting the kuluk, the seal oil lamp, which is a symbol of acknowledgement of our ancestors before us and those who have taught us what we know today. So we're going to be lighting this kuluk today to show our appreciation to our ancestors and elders for instilling the knowledge within us so that we can share with others. Basically, our Inupiaq Studies program would be non-existent if it weren't for our elders and our community members, our knowledge bearers who have passed on what they know to us so that we may share with others and with our students. So to our elders and to our community members, our ancestors. We'll move our screen down a little bit so you can see the kuluk. Okay. Yeah, we'll turn the light off for a moment while we get this lighted so you can see it. the kulak is a very beautiful symbol of survival in our culture. Back then, our people needed the kulak in order to survive. Today, it's more of survival of our culture, where we're reclaiming many of the things that have been lost or haven't been practiced in many years. And what's very beautiful about the kulip is that its flame burns very silently. It's a silent flame. And while we allow the lamp to burn, we'll just take a few moments for a moment of silence. Inupiaq for allowing us to have a moment of silence to acknowledge our elders and community members and ancestors. We're going to set the kulak aside. We'll allow it to burn throughout the whole festival here in our office. So we'll just set it aside and then continue with our festival. So Inupiaq. So to start off with our festival, we wanted to begin with our sewing classes. So this semester we offered two online sewing courses, which is pretty cool. The first course is Baby Inupiaq, which translates to mukluk making and dancing mittens. And the second class was where students made a beaver hat and pualu, which are hunting mittens. And you might be wondering, well, how would an online sewing course work? So we've designed it to where we created video tutorials of each of the project for students to follow step by step. So they were able to work kind of at their own pace. And that seemed to work pretty well. And like you'll see in a moment, you'll see that, how great the online courses work and, where students are able to make their projects. And I think it worked really well. So we get a variety of students from different places. And so this semester we have a number of different students taking both courses, and they've done a really great job. We've had, beginner sewers and, sewers who are ready to, they had some knowledge and they were ready to make their projects. So we have a variety of students. So what we're going to be doing, we have some students here with us, and I will have them introduce themselves. And then I have some of their projects. I'll present some of the projects of the students who are not here today. And then our students that are here today will present their own projects. So first, I will have them introduce themselves. And when you introduce yourself, please put your camera on so everybody can see you and meet you. So we'll start with Nancy.
Me?
Just introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Nancy Kagak Naliat Grant. I am from the Kagak family out in Wainwright. I also work at Inupiaq College in financial aid services. I made a video to show my to show what I made. I've sewn just a teeny bit, but I've had to sew and resew and take stuff out all along the way. It was a great learning experience. Thank you.
Inupiaq Nancy. We have Joanne.
Hi, I'm Joanne Unatoa. I'm from Barrow, and I took the beaver hat and koru class.
Inupiaq. We have Aluk.
Uvanga Marie Stackhouse, Inupiaq Siniga Aluk, Tanik Siniga Marie, Utkaravik Miurunga. My name is Marie Aluk Stackhouse, and I took the baby Inupiaq and Aitkatik class, and it was so awesome. And you'll see some videos I made some mistakes, but was pretty happy with both of my projects.
Inupiaq. We have Inupiaq.
Todd, can you hear me okay?
We can hear you okay.
Inupiaq Senior, Inupiaq, Hanik Senior Bob or Robert, Raven Kinyaruna, Oklahoma, me. So I took, so I'm talking to you from Oklahoma, Stillwater, Oklahoma today. It's a long way away. And I took the dance, song and dance class in the spring semester, and that was my first introduction to sewing the men's dancing gloves. But this was more of a challenge for me, and I enjoyed it. And I certainly made a lot of mistakes, but Inupiaq really helped me along the way. I sent her pictures, and she responded very quickly and gave me some good tips and things. So yeah, I did the Inupiaq or baby mukluk and Aitkatik dancing mittens class, and it took me longer, probably much longer than everybody else, but I finally got it done. So I give a lot of credit to Inupiaq and the Inupiaq Studies Department for doing this. There's no way I could have done it if it wasn't done remotely, so it was great.
Inupiaq. Is there anybody else that I missed that is here today? Okay, we have other students too, like Patty Rice and Maggie Levitt and Kalayaut Frankson from Tikiup, that were also in the sewing classes. So I'll begin by showing Kalayaut Frankson's PowerPoint presentation. So let me open that up.
This is my baby Inupiaq project. This is my baby Inupiaq project. I really enjoyed taking this class this semester because I have a 2-year-old son, and these will keep his feet warm all winter. I had a little bit of trouble with keeping the kupuk centered as I was sewing it on, even though I tacked it. And next time I think I will cut a piece out of the top of the foot and sew it into instead of right onto the baby Inupiaq. other than that, I really enjoyed this class this semester, and my baby will have warm feet all winter long.
First, I traced the pattern onto the calf skin and leather. Then I cut them out. I ended up not using the rickrack in the picture. Next, I created my kupuk and cut it out of my calf skin and sewed it together. The kupuk is our Frankson family sign that has been in the family for generations. So I thought that was really cool of her to use that symbol. I sewed the kupuk onto the top of the Inupiaq. It is a little bit off, but I had a hard time with keeping it centered even though I tacked it on. I started sewing the top of the Inupiaq to the back, then I got carried away and got the leather strip around the foot, the ties in the bottom sewed on to the first side. Next, I attached the beaver and felt around the top of the Inupiaq. Then I started sewing the backside together, attaching the top to the back. Next, I sewed the leather strip around the foot and the ties. Then came the mouton insole and the leather bottom. Next, I added the beaver around the top. Lastly, I put the felt on the top of the second side and tried them on my 2-year-old. Atai. So that is Inupiaq Frankson's. And then I'll play her dancing critique video or PowerPoint.
My dancing critique project. I did this project once before last semester. And I was excited to do it again to try to, fix my stitches a little better and maybe, have it look a little nicer than the first time. What I did forget on the first mitten that I sewed was to tack it in the middle side and at the bottom, and then sew from the top to the middle and then from the bottom to the middle. But I did that with the other side and it worked just fine. I wish I had a little more beaver for this project.
Okay. So that was her dancing art critique. I'll go ahead and have Bob present a new book, your baby Inupiaq, and I'll pull up the presentation.
Puck.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Yeah, go on to the next slide, please. So yeah, that just shows the materials used, calfskins and the felt, and we learned that traditionally the tutu was used, but now calfskins gotten popular. So go on to the next slide, please. So I use cardboard to as a form to trace and then cut the calfskin for the Inupiaq, and then that just shows the direction. The arrows were the direction to keep in mind, the direction of the fur going down. So and so I picked this design. One reason I thought it'd be a little easier to sew but I think it looked good too. Next slide, please. And those are the after all the pieces were cut, I did that. So you see all of the different bottoms on the top there, and the tops on the bottom, and the side and front, and then the edge as well. Next slide. So yeah, of course, so the Inupiaqs first, they were probably the most challenging thing for me. One, because I did them first and my lack of experience, but then because of the small size of it, there were a lot of sewing to be done in that small area. And so my stitches were not very well done, but they could look better. So next slide, please. And then that's with the back piece sewn around. And one thing, I don't know if I mentioned here, but yeah, tacking was something I had difficulty with in the beginning. So I also had a problem with the Inupiaqs not being where I wanted them to be after I got going with them. They were like not positioned very well. And then the other difficulty was, I think the size of it was a little bit too large given the dimensions of the piece it was sewn onto. Next slide, please. So that just shows after the strips and ties were sewn on. Go on to the next one, please. And that's on the left, the bottom sewn on, and then the top, bottom, and side views. So pretty much almost complete at that stage. Next slide, please. And that's the completed with the felt trim. I did not put the beaver fur around it. I don't know why. But and I did find the videos really useful because I could play them over and over again. Before I started the project, but as I was doing it. Next slide, please. That's just another view from the front. And then the next slide, I think that may be the last one. We'll see.
Yeah, this one's the last slide.
Inupiaq.
I'll open up your video or PowerPoint.
Okay, do that right. And I forgot to mention something in my introduction. Akaga Lois Apaga Bernard. I want to acknowledge my parents.
Okay, enough both.
So yeah, let's see. So let's go on to the next slide. So that's all of the pieces cut from the patterns. And let's see. Oh yeah, so one key aspect here was pointed out in the video and tutorials were to trim. So the actual form was probably a little too wide on the side that goes up your arm, and for most, and I have small hands, small arms, so I trim them. And it made it a little challenging, I guess, the way I did it, getting the two, the upper and lower pieces to, I thought they were fitting correctly, but they weren't. Well, we can go on to the next slide, I think. So that's from the first Inupiaq on the thumb side, and my stitching was a little bit too spaced between the stitches and a little bit too loose, which helped me with, and I think I did better on the second glove. Next slide, please. This picture of the first completed ones. The top and the bottom, you kind of see the stitching for the thumb side is a little weak there on that thumb. Not as good as it could have been. Next slide, please. And this is the second one. So yeah, you can see maybe the stitching is looks a little more tight there and, you know, closer together on the second one, the thumb piece anyway. Next slide, please. And it's a close-up of the stitching for the thumb. Next slide. So yes, this completed before putting the beaver fur on. And I don't know if you can see, but on the right picture, it turned out that the top was longer than the bottom. And I think some of it had to do with the sewing I did. It was probably maybe too bunched up, caused it to not, you know, match up well. So I ended up actually trimming the longer side to get them more even. I tried something else. I thought maybe I'd get away with it, but covering it up with the fur, but I didn't do it that way. Next slide, please. Yeah, so that's the fur sewn on to the first one, and the tip of the mitten looks like it's too straight, but it just wasn't pushed out enough with the, you know, with my fingers, so it did extend more. Next slide, please. And then fur trim sewn on the second one. The picture on the left just shows the sewing process. The way it's done is it's done. The back side is visible, and then you flip it over once it's done. Next slide, please. But you can see the stitches there. And then that's after the fur trim has been sewn on and folded over the. And that you can see right there, particularly the tip. It comes more to a point there than maybe too much to a point. And I don't know if that's the last slide or not. There might be one more. I don't remember. Oh yeah, right. So the tab left, they were the complete set, and I actually have them here, but you see them in the picture. So.
We're gonna book a new book. Ariga, you can definitely see your progress.
Inupiaq.
I'm going to pull open Joanne's presentation. So whenever you're ready, Joanne, you could just tell me next slide.
Okay. This is my beaver hat. Next slide. I cut out the pattern and then I traced them on to the outer layer, which is the leather. Next slide. Here I'm sewing the outer layer together, which is the leather. Next slide. Here I'm sewing the inner layer together, which is the fleece and the beaver flaps. Next slide. I got it all put together and there was like a little ripple on the fur on the inside. And I tried to convince myself that it was good and nobody would know, but I took it apart and adjusted it and fixed it. Next slide. There's my final product of the beaver hat. And I think it turned out pretty nice. Next slide. Tips for sewing. Mark your patterns at halfway or quarter marks just to make sure that they match up correctly. Here, one side didn't match up, so I had to take it apart, and I used like bag clips to hold it together so I would make it match up. Next slide. I thought beaver hats were a contemporary piece because you don't really see people wearing beaver hats back then. It was either their big hoods that they would wear, and if they were wearing a hat, it was more of like a fabric hat. I think that was the last slide.
Inupiaq, Joanne. Very beautiful Nisauta. And I will go ahead and show Patty's beaver hat. I will show her presentation. Cut out the patterns, trace the patterns. Watch instructional videos. Make sure the beaver fur is going upwards for the front. Beaver hat project. Take your time while sewing. Shortly after this picture, I sewed my hat completely shut, unable to turn inside out. So that's one of the things, you know, while you're sewing, you learn these different tips and, like Joanne said, tips and tricks. The ladder stitch was difficult to achieve with fur pushing out. This is a great stitch to know. And then the final product ready to use, estimated total time 3 days on and off. Turned out really nice as well. And then I have Nancy Grant's video.
I'm Nancy Grant.
I'm Nancy Grant, and I'm learning how to make a Inupiaq style hunting hat and mittens. The beaver fur in this bundle is my hat. Hand-woven ties secure it all in place. You can choose to wear this hat up or down. What flaps? Hat flaps. Tie it under your chin and that baby's not flying off. After you get home, you can tie those flaps on top. It looks pretty tied on top. In this bundle, the black calfskin and leather are my mittens. These supersized mittens are an added layer of warmth. Here's what I learned about cutting fur. Fur with shorter hairs can be trimmed with scissors. Fur with longer hairs must be trimmed with a blade. Sewing with fur can be tricky. Pinch the seam open and hold it taut. Any loose hairs can then be pushed back in with your needle. This keeps fur out of your stitches and helps to have even seams. Protecting your fingers while hand sewing is a must. Ouchies are no fun. I often wear vinyl gloves to help save my fingers from pokes and calluses. I feel so blessed to have these new hat and mittens. It's been fun to show and tell. Thank you for watching.
Really great video, Nancy. I love how creative it is.
Thank you. I have the other one on the baby mucklucks too, when you need it.
Yes, I can share it. I have it open right here.
This fall, I had the awesome opportunity to learn how to make baby mucklucks and dancing mittens. My name is Nancy Grant, and these are my skin sewing projects. To personalize our projects, we designed our own kupuks. Originally, my idea was to use these whale tails and circles. Unfortunately, when I sewed them together, the look didn't come out quite as I had intended. What I wound up doing was making these arrowheads. I layered the fur to help stabilize the area. I'm really glad how they turned out. This design is both feminine and masculine. It's a unisex design, and here are my finished baby mucklucks. Here's a better look into how we assembled our dance mittens. First, you take the pattern and trace it onto your leather. You can use scissors to cut out your pieces. A whip stitch is used to hold our seams together. A secret lazy sewer's tip is to temporarily use band-aids to protect your fingers instead of a traditional thimble. That's my lazy sewer's tip of the day. The interesting part of sewing these mittens are attaching the thumb pieces together. Attach the fur, and now you have it, a complete set of dancing mittens. I loved every aspect of making these projects. Maybe someday I'll have a grandbaby for them mucklucks. Thank you for watching my video.
I love your creative videos, and I love how you are trying out different, like the Band-Aid and the vinyl gloves. Whatever works.
Yeah, I really do want to do a traditional thimble though. At one time, I was just really excited to be able to make our projects.
They seem to work good. They must be good like grippers to grip the needle.
Yeah, and even with the vinyl gloves being a little thick, I found that instead of poking myself, I would like sew through the glove. It was no big deal. It did help. But you still get pokes.
Yeah, yes. Anything to do with sewing, you will almost always get poked. Oh, okay, so this one is Olive's video. And these are the men's dancing mittens, men's style, with the naloa, the bleached bearded sealskin.
I have them here. Let me grab them. So this was a lot of fun. They make a beautiful noise. There are 22 shell casings on them. And when you dance, they make a rattling sound. This was probably my funnest project, except for something to note. I popped my finger and bled on all 3 projects. So I did 3 projects for this course. I just finished the baby or the toddler. I could take for my niece, which I'll go bring those to her later today. And I got the pattern for my HLC and kind of modified it. I looked at videos of dancers from Point Hope. You can't, let's see if, I don't know, you could see I stabilized the base of the shell casings with calf skin just to make it more sturdy. The Naloak, which is the bleached bearded sealskin, is thinner than I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be really thick to put the needle through, but it actually went through fairly easy. So that's why I added these to stabilize it on the inside. And the shell casings were given to me by my coworker, Lloyd Peckle Jr. And then Ace Edwards helped me sew the holes onto the 22 casings here at ASRC. So this project was so fun. And the baby one too. I think she's gonna look so cute at the Christmas program wearing her little mittens. But I don't know, I'm clumsy, I think. Like all three projects, even today, I poked my finger and started bleeding all 3 times. So I think I just need more practice, practice with my stitches. I'm with Bob, my stitches weren't that great. And the ladies who were helping me made me repeatedly take apart my sewing projects because they weren't satisfied with the stitches, or I did them wrong, or I was cutting corners. The first time my coworkers said, no, you got to start over. But it took me like how many hours? And I was like, oh no, I had to start all over. So that's one thing I learned, to be patient. If your stitches are messed up or your project's messed up, it's okay when someone tells you to rip it apart and start all over. But I think I'll get better going forward. The stitches for me take practice. I'm not very coordinated. But the men's dancing mittens, I'm so proud of them. Like, I might gift them away to somebody, but I want to hold on to them for a while, just for a little bit.
Inupiaq for sharing. And man, even if you sew and have many years of sewing experience, like, you will still poke yourself. I still poke myself and I still bleed.
I won't feel so bad, but I was bleeding like all over the place, like every single project. I might have to try Nancy's Band-Aid trick.
Yes, for sure. I think I need to try that too someday. And plus, like, if it's a Band-Aid, it sticks. So that's such a good idea. So I forgot to open up the baby mukluk video. I'll look if you wanted to share your screen.
So I can't share my screen because I'm using my computer, but I don't know if you can do it. I sent you 3 baby videos in Messenger, 3 links for 3 different videos. I don't know if you're able to open it up that way, but the only way I can access those videos is on my phone. And I'm on my computer at work.
Okay, maybe while I have somebody else present, I will open them up just due to time.
And then message me if you can't open them, and then maybe I could try to email the 3 links instead of Messenger.
Oh yeah, maybe email them. That would be better.
Okay, I'll do that now.
Okay, all right. So while you do that, we will go ahead and move forward. So make sure did I miss anybody's presentation? And if I did, please just let me know. There's quite a bit of different presentations that I'm opening up. So if I missed you, I apologize.
Are we doing the mittens, the hunting mittens?
Oh, yes, yes. Okay, that's the one that I forgot too. Let me see. You know, even though I do this so many, for so many years, and I still sometimes forget presentations. So I apologize in advance. Let's see, let me go and open it. So while I get this open, I'm going to move to the next class, and then we'll go back to the sewing. That was my fault that I didn't have those open. So the next class, this semester, we taught the traditional and contemporary native food preparation class virtually as well. This semester, we have 2 students in the course. And I think what's really great about the course is that students from, outside of Inupiaq, they get hands-on experience working with native food. And so what we do is we basically send out packages of Inupiaq, native food, and they process and cook from where they're living. So like I said, we have 2 students, and I saw Neruk was on. I'll go ahead and have you introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Neri. I live in Nome currently, but I was born in Anchorage. Yeah.
Inupiaq Neruk. We also have Jade in the course, but she's not here today. So Jade is currently living in Anchorage. And I will go ahead and have, I will show Jade's cooking videos, and then I will have Cherish present hers. So I'll go ahead and open up Jade's cooking videos. So after every time they finish a cooking dish, they will create either a video or PowerPoint presentation of them cooking those dishes and processing the foods and stuff. So I really enjoy watching their videos and their PowerPoint presentations.
Oh no, I hope I don't fall.
So those were just a few of Jade's videos that she created. Like I mentioned, each time they create a dish, they create either a video or a PowerPoint presentation. And so in the first cooking video, that was Jade's first time ever cutting a nirlip, which is a goose. And so you saw the whole process of her cutting it. We had in the class, we also have, for certain things, we have video tutorials that they watch on how to process certain foods. And so we had a video on my campus of that whole process of how to cut alilak, the nirlip. And so she learned from the video on how to do that herself. And then she made nirlip soup, which is a traditional dish that we have. And just like the title of the course, traditional and contemporary native food preparation, students get to do both like traditional dishes and also like contemporary, like modern style dishes as well. Her second one, she made fireweed jelly. So Kavlin and I, throughout the summer, we pick and different plants and flowers and edible greens for our classes, and they process them. since our class is in the fall, they don't get to get that picking experience. So they basically just work with the product. So she made fireweed jelly, and then her last one, she made Inupiaq tacos. Inupiaq is the bowhead whale. So she used the bowhead whale meat and made Inupiaq tacos. So that was Jade. We're gonna kind of go backwards and go back to the sewing class. Kind of for your patience as I pulled up those videos, and I apologize that I didn't have them pulled up. So I'll have Joanne present. I have her Polu hunting mittens presentation. So whenever you're ready, Joanne.
Okay, this is my presentation on the Polu hunting mittens. You can go to the next slide. This time around, I traced the patterns onto cardboard just so I could trace them onto the fur properly. You can go to the next slide. This one, I'm sewing the inner layer, and I used the bag clips to hold it in place, and I marked them by quarters just to make sure that they match up correctly. Next slide. Here I'm sewing the outer layer, and I again marked it in quarters, and I used the bag clips to hold it in place. Next slide. Here I'm making the anus. I couldn't get the braiding with 4 down, so I do know how to make anus. Like, I don't know what this one is called, but that's how I made my anus. Next slide. Here I sewed the inner and I put the inner and the outer layer together to sew the anu and the top part on. Next slide. Here's the finished product. I decided not to put the beaver around the top and just used a strip of leather and sewed them together. And I put the anu on the side and put it inside the strip of leather to hold it securely. And there's a picture of my son wearing them. Next slide. Tips, just make sure that your thumb is going the correct way so that when you put it in, you're not fighting the fur per se. And then so when I traced the pattern out for the outer layer, I thought the fur was supposed to be going downward towards your elbow, and when I watched the video, it's supposed to be going the other way, the fur downward towards your fingertips. And I liked marking them in quarters just to make sure that they line up correctly and match up, like from beginning to end. I also used sealskin instead of the what's it called?
The calfskin.
Yes, the calfskin that came in the box, just so that the mittens would be waterproof. And I also sprayed the leather part with a waterproofer just so they could be waterproof. I was trying to understand or get input on why, or maybe it's just up to the person sewing them on the way that the fur goes downward. I thought the fur going downward towards the elbows, it would be the wind just going the same direction as the fur. And then my sister said that maybe the fur going down towards the fingertips would help keep where you sew it together warm so that the cold air wouldn't go through, but I wasn't too sure about that. So that's my polu mittens.
Inupiaq Joanne, another really beautiful final product. And I love how you used your seal skin instead of the calf skin. And how did you get it? Is it purple?
Yes, it is purple. I was gifted a purple sealskin from my mom, and I believe she got it from Canada. So I'm not too sure how they colored it purple.
Wow, it's so beautiful. I really love it. And about the fur, yeah, I've heard like different stories about which way the fur goes. Some people, like you're saying, like if you have the fur go towards your elbow, like the wind would just slide right through. And then I've heard of people sewing it towards the fingertips where like the fur would cancel out the wind as well. So it's kind of, I've heard both ways.
Okay, that makes sense. Having it go downwards towards the fingertips to cancel out the wind. I thought, yeah, maybe to help keep the wind going through the stitches or something.
Yeah. Hey, Inupiaq Joanne. Now I'm going to show Marie other sewing projects. This one's the baby Inupiaq.
Oh no, I hope I don't fall.
Oh no! Our table is broken! Life is beautiful!
They turned out cute. I know what mistakes I made, like the singak, which is the ties. I had trouble cutting those out. And then I tried to readjust. I made a mistake where it was starting to gather. And then I tried to cut it to make it sew on right. And that was a mistake. But I think next time I'll know. I didn't do a good job of tacking them down. Not to mention I sewed the soles on wrong and realized it when I was like halfway. And then another time I had to redo the stitches, but overall I think they turned out cute. Everyone at my job really liked them, and I don't have any babies and my sister doesn't have any babies, so I gifted them to Jerica's baby, Nayuk's baby Amber Lee. I wish I had a baby, but I don't. But gifted them since, you know, in our culture, when we catch an animal for the first time, whether it's a tutu or like a uruk, we would gift gifted the whole thing away usually to elders, but since these were for a baby, I wanted to gift them away too, since they're my first pair, and hopefully I get better on the next time. I think I made quite a few mistakes on this one. It was only the second time I'd ever sewn at all. The first time I sewed was with Kudok's class when I made dancing mittens for myself. And so this was my second project, but overall, I think it turned out. The only thing I would recommend is just get advice from ladies who have sewn before. And if they say you made a mistake, then just be ready to take it all apart and start over again. Then you'll be more satisfied with the outcome. But that was all I have. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, but hard. It was definitely hard.
Cleanup book Aluk, and I can't wait till my baby grows into them.
So cute.
They are super cute. You did a really great job. And when she does grow into them, I'll be sure to show you a picture.
Since I'm taking just a few classes at a time, I'm sure I'll be here.
Okay, all right. Moving back to the cooking class. I'll have Cherish. Are you still on? Yep, I see Nero. Okay. We'll have you present. I have your presentations all combined into one. So you could just tell me next page or slide or whatever.
Okay. So I made a salmon spread out of the salmon she sent us, and you can go ahead next one. So I just baked it in the oven. I don't have much seasoning at my house. So all I did was garlic and onion, and I baked them till they were done. You can go to the next one. And then I chopped up a fresh onion and put that into the bowl. And then the next one. Oh, wow. I guess I didn't take a picture. So I took all the skin off the salmon, and then I took the salmon and took the bones out and flaked it up into a bowl. And then I put the onions into a bowl, and salt and pepper and cream cheese and mayo, all to taste. Really, it doesn't take much of the cream cheese and mayo either. And then mixed it together. And my mom likes to put jalapenos in, and then my Anna likes to put in pickles, relish, that's what it is. And I don't really like either of those. I don't know why, so I don't add those in. So I put chili powder in instead, so it was kind of spicy. And then you mix it up and put it in the fridge, so it's cold. Next. And all done. There it is. And then my favorite way to eat salmon. So I chopped it up, and then you can go ahead and go to the next one. I chopped it and then boiled it, and I went and got some vegetables, and go to the next one. I cut up a potato and boiled it in the pot too. And go to the next one. I cut up carrots, and then I had some green onions in my fridge that needed to be used, and I needed to use that cabbage. So I chopped that up too. And next. And then I got all of my veggies onto my plate, and I got the boiled potatoes and the fish and some misagok and put it all on my plate and salt and ate it because yum. Next. Oh yeah, there it is. My favorite way to eat salmon. How do you say it in Inupiaq?
Ikaluhurok.
Ikaluhurok. Yeah. Oh yeah, and then the salmon eggs on crackers. That was really good. I've had it before, but only once. And when you sent those eggs, I got so excited. I was like, yes, this is how I'm gonna eat it. I put it on a cracker with some cream cheese and that's it. It was super good. And then this was my favorite one that we did, just because I've only had Nigalixu once before. I always just have Tutusu. So you can go next. So you do like Jade did. She gave us both whole birds. That was really cool. I've never done that before. So yep, you do that to the bird and then you boil it and prep your vegetables. Go ahead. And then I cut up carrots and mushrooms, and you can go to the next one. Tomato, onion, celery. Go to the next one. Oh, and then I can't have gluten, so I didn't use noodles. And I didn't have any rice either. So I just did the vegetables. And I also don't think I had potatoes either. Yeah, so I didn't do potatoes, but I just chopped up a whole bunch of vegetables and boiled them in the pot with the bird when it was done boiling for about an hour. You can go ahead to the next one. And then once it's all been boiled and you are happy with how your vegetables are, like once they get soft, I think it's done. And then I added some misagok to my soup because yum, again, and some salt to taste. Yeah, that was really good. And then also, I thought this was really cool. One time I was just eating with my family and my Anna was just like, this is probably one of the healthiest foods you can eat. And I was like, okay, thank you. And so it was just really good. And it was fun to make it.
Inupiaq Cherish, great job on your presentation.
Thank you.
So next, I'm going to hand it over to Kahon.
Okay, so I'll be sharing one of our students' presentations that wasn't able to be here with us today, but she is taking a couple of our Inupiaq studies classes taught by our adjunct instructors. So this is a presentation by Kayu Ulimau. Next slide. And she's taking the INU 221 Exploring Inupiaq Culture and Identity Through Creative Writing this fall, taught by Aluk Edwardson, and also the INU 257 Traditional and Contemporary Skin Sewing, taught by Susan Hope. So these first few slides are some of her work done through Alec Edwardson's class. And this one, I'll just go ahead and read what she put down on the slide. So Inupiaq, to barely survive. This course and the variety of Inupiaq materials we went over really opened my eyes to how creative our Inupiaq peoples are. It also brought drive in me to finish reading all the Inupiaq authored books I have acquired over the years. Very thankful for the guidance from my Ilisari Aluk. The next 4 slides is my second draft of my poem for this course's final project. And as background, I am a survivor of mental, physical, and emotional abuse of a man I felt I was going to spend the rest of my life with. Through God's grace and what I now know is my Inua, my Inupiaq spirit, I got out and am here today back in my hometown for over 2 years after being away for 16 years. Slowly feeling your soul leaving your body, your last breath exhales. No hope. Remembering that 6 years prior, a nightmare, you were in your home in disarray. You were attacked, but you could not see your attacker. Waking up and thinking how strong-willed you are. This would never happen to me. I would never tolerate a man putting his hands on me. Then you meet the love of your life. Life is great, husband, dog, home, career goal, but slowly your soul leaves your body through the years. Is this nightmare really unfolding at the hands of my husband? Years of fear coming down to my last breath. Day in and day out, how do I survive? Pray without ceasing, pray, pray, pray. Someone, anyone, please hear my cries and save me. Hope. Save yourself, remember where you came from, who you are. This self-reflection opening windows, I can see the light. I must save myself and run. Years of fear lifted, a new vision. Self-reflection showing you, your roots, your ancestors, your survival rate. You are not a statistic anymore. I am breath again. I feel my soul again. What a beautiful Inupiaq culture we have. Continual learning, adaptability, survival. If anything, we piluk. Sharing stories of barely surviving brings hope to others. Remember to tell your story. Remember to inhale and exhale. Empower those around you. Breathe, focus on the good, blessings. Pray without ceasing. So that was her poem that she's working on for her final project. These next few slides are from her sewing class taught by Susan Hope. And so here's some photos from her first time using a sewing machine ever in her life. The perfect cup. I very much enjoyed learning to make an atikluk by making sure I had all the needed materials, creating the patterns, cutting my fabric, then piece by strategic piece, sewing it together. So here she is making her kulbaks, or the decorative trim. The creativity and mindfulness it takes to come up with a design for the kulbaks was very interesting. I have much higher respect and praise for those who love to do kulbaks, now knowing how much work and love go into making them. Live and learn. Wow. Through life we live and learn, and we learn. We often make mistakes, and the patience it takes to correct them goes into your work, and I really appreciate all the life lessons I have learned in this course of sewing for the first time in my life. I see a new hobby on the horizon. So just for a little bit of background information, Aluk's class is a writing class where the students really focus on finding themselves within our culture and finding their own cultural identity. And so they do these creative writing projects that allows them to express themselves. And as you can tell from the poem that Caillou shared today, that's a little bit of what other projects might look like as well from other students. Very personal. And then Susan Hope's class is a class that students who are interested in learning specific sewing projects that they're interested in, Susan will teach them how to do that either with like machine sewing or skin sewing. And we've had students in the past making atikluks, parkas, just doing like the isirovik and the sini for a parka, mittens, a hat, you name it, whatever that they're interested in, Susan is there to show them how to do it, how to make their own patterns, and how to sew everything together. And she's a very talented seamstress here in Inupiaq.
Inupiaq for sharing Kai's presentation and giving some extra information. So next we have our Inu 213 Inuit storytelling class. So I will have our students introduce themselves. We have two students in Inuit storytelling. We have Tuktu, you want to introduce yourself?
Am I coming through okay?
Yes.
Uvang Tuktu kaya mute nga. Bawa koyak nga. Aka Kalik Nakok Apaga John Miller Jr. Among Takarana. Among Sakavan. I was born and raised in Barrow, and I'm really in an odd place right now, so I haven't really been as serious as I usually am. If I were more myself, you'd be hearing about how selfishness goes against everything we are and everything we've been working toward as a people. But this isn't an ASRC board meeting, and this isn't really the best time for that sort of thing. So I thought I'd do a little comedy. And I forgot my camera, because of course I did. Yes, it is I, Tuktu. As I'm fond of saying, I'm one of Sadie Nichols' many grandkids. And even though I am fairly decent with computers, I'm still not the best with smartphones. So I apologize for the odd lighting and everything else. But I may as well get started. This is a version of something I did at a board meeting to make people laugh. Oh, come on. Can I at least get myself centered properly? I apologize. This is a collect call from a migratory individual over international airspace. To accept charges, press 1. To refuse charges, press 0. It's still a work in progress. But it's a pun on Nicollet calling, of course. It's Nicollet collect calling.
Thanks for sharing, Tuktu.
Yep. I know it's not the best, and I apologize.
You're pretty good at calling those nidalips, though.
Yeah, but those international charges are murder.
Okay, do we have Kale on? I saw her.
She was here.
Yeah, I don't see her.
I could text her again.
Okay. Yeah, maybe she had to go or something. So in the Inuit storytelling class, we go over a number of different types of stories. We have our Inupiaq, which are legends and the myths and, kind of like the origin of things. We go over Kuleaktoq, which are like personal experiences. And so the students in the class we've been going over a ton of different stories. We've been focusing kind of on Inupiaq for a while. The messenger feast, the origin story of Inupiaq. They also write their own story. We open it up for story time. Like we do all sorts of really interesting things in the class. Another form of storytelling is dancing. And when you're dancing, Inupiaq style, they have a story behind it. So this semester, the story that they are showing in the dance is the Ilisavik song. And the Ilisavik song is basically, we are Ilisavik, we're spreading our wings, we're studying, this is a book, flipping pages through a book. We're sewing, we're cutting, and we're speaking the language. So I have a video I'm going to show of the dancing. Share my screen. All right, so that was the Inuit storytelling class. If Kale joins us, she has a story she is going to share. But we have Patty from the sewing class here, and I'll have her introduce herself.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Patty Rice. Sorry for joining so late. I usually use a different computer to log in. And I decided to take this sewing class this semester. I wanted to learn how to make a beaver hat, and it was really fun and interesting. I'm also supposed to be making mittens, but I haven't finished them yet, but I will show you what I've done. So here's the beaver that was provided in the class. And then I had bought some seal fur for the outside. And the seal fur I got was like somebody's leftovers from a larger project. So what I had to do was kind of cut it into strips so that it would make a full mitten. And I think, let's see. So they're kind of mismatch, but I hope to have them done this weekend. Thank you.
Inupiaq Patty, those look really nice. I love how you mirrored both sides to be the same.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was really hard. Like the seal fur was all different colors, and I did a lot of tracing and retracing.
Yep, that's part of the sewing process. Inupiaq Patty. So that is what we have for our Inupiaq Fine Arts Festival Fall 2021. Does anybody have any comments or questions for our students before we close out?
I do. I just want to thank you and Katie for doing such a great job at instructing us. We're learning so much. I know I am. And all of the Inupiaq classes don't even feel like school to me. It's so much fun. And I am so excited to continue learning our language, culture, heritage, and look forward to next semester. And that was it. And everyone's presentation was so good, so fun. What a fun way to spend Saturday together.
Inupiaq Alu. We hope to see you next semester. We hope to see all of you next semester.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you guys for offering these classes. This is like a really good way to learn how to sew for your family. I took the classes so I could sew for my son because he hunts for us. So I was able to make him a beaver hat and some hunting mittens, which is really cool. I'm on my third beaver hat because I'm making some for all of my kids. So I was able to make the mittens with the purple sealskin, and then I also have the a hat in the purple sealskin, but I think my daughter put it away. So I'm very thankful for these classes, and I can't wait to see what you guys offer next semester. Thank you guys.
Joanne, I do have a smaller beaver hat pattern I've been meaning to give to you. So when I get the chance, I will send it your way.
Yeah, I think it would be cool to have like I don't know, a chat group or something maybe in the classes just to like ask questions or give out ideas or something would be nice.
I love that idea. I will take that into consideration for next semester.
Oh, Nancy, we can't hear you.
Sorry. Joanne brought hers to work and let me see some of her what she was doing, and she gave me tips, and I really was encouraged by that. So a group would be nice. And also I really liked what Marie said. When people give us advice as new sewers, we just take it so like right to our heart, and we don't stop and think, wait, they're trying to help us. So I think that was a super duper good reminder. And I really like meeting everybody I hadn't met before. So hello. And very inspired by you all. Thank you.
Inupiaq Nancy.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I want to take a sewing class now because of all these different presentations. Everything was so beautiful. I loved it all. Thank you.
Yes, we will. I have the list of classes for the spring. So after comments, I will show. I will show what we have.
Yeah.
Thank you for sending out an invitation to the wider community of Inupiaq. I just love supporting your program, and I think it's the main one of the main strengths, or the main strength, obviously, of the college. And I look forward to continue to support students and staff. Thank you.
Inupiaq Laura, we sure appreciate you calling in and joining us.
So before I share my comments, Dr. Kate O'Neill, our new Dean of Academic Affairs, was here for most of the presentations, but she had to take off a little bit early. But she wanted me to share her gratitude and thanks to all of the students, and for Jerica for sharing what you guys had worked on all semester long with us today. And then from myself, I just want to say you guys are so amazing, and I hope all of you keep doing what you're doing, whether it's storytelling, learning about storytelling and new stories, dancing, sewing, you guys are all doing such a great job, and all of your projects are beautiful. They were wonderful, and we're so proud of you.
Inupiaq Kalon for such a nice comment. So before we close out, we wanted to show the upcoming classes. We have quite a few actually, and quite a few sewing ones. So we have Foundations of Inupiaq Language Learning coming back, Mukluk workshop with Joni Edwardson. So if you guys are located in Inupiaq and you want to learn how to sew with hard bottom mukluks, like seriously, this is the class. Indigenizing graduation regalia. So if you're going to be graduating soon, if you want like a cap with fur or like a fur sash, like this is a class you should take. Soft bottom Inupiaq mukluk making. Silver fox isilvik, the ruff, that goes on your parka. Master apprenticeship program methods, Inupiaq knowledge and use of Arctic plants, elementary Inupiaq 2, Inuit art studio, Inuit storytelling, exploring Inupiaq identity through creative writing, traditional and contemporary skin sewing with Susan Hope, if you're located in Inupiaq. So just some classes if you are interested in, if you want to take in the spring semester. So it's going to be a busy, fun semester and we're super excited. And before we go, there's one more thing. Colin is going to share about the Master Apprentice Program.
So this spring, we'll be starting up our first ever Master Apprentice Language Program. So this program is focused on increasing the fluency of Inupiaq language speakers. And we're shooting to start in January of this next year. We don't have an exact date for January, but I'll be sure to be sharing that information once we have all those details finalized. To give a little bit of information about it, the apprentices will be required to meet with their master teacher for a minimum of 3 hours per week. And in those 3 hours, basically you would be trying to stay in immersion in Inupiaq for the entire meeting time as much as you can, and try to communicate and learn from your master teacher by either you can use like props, objects, talk about a specific type of, a specific topic, such as like cooking or cleaning or like pretty much anything that you're interested in learning, and trying to increase that conversational Inupiaq. Right now, because of the grant and how it's written, it's available to residents of NPRA villages only. So those would be residents of Utqiagvik, Utqiagvik, Wainwright, and Nuiqsut. So if you're interested in this program, we have applications up and available for both the language apprentice and the master teacher. So if you want to be an apprentice and you have a master teacher in mind that you would like to work with specifically, both you and that person, if they are also interested, can apply online. You can email me and I'll be sure to send you the application for both, and then you can forward that to whoever you want.
I have a question about the apprentice program. Will there be credits to earn, or is it for the experience and language learning and there are no credits for it?
For the program itself, it's not a credit-based program. There is a supplemental course that we just had listed, the Master Apprenticeship Program Methods. is a 1.5 credit course that you're required to take. So out of this program, through that course, you would receive 3 credits total. But we are planning for anybody who's coming out of this program to receive a certificate. So even though you're not getting credits, you'll have like something to say that you completed this program and that you've built on your language skills. Does that make sense?
It does sound awesome. The program sounds awesome.
So our Ilisavik president, Justina Wilhelm, she also was unable to come today. They caught an Alavik during the fall, this fall. So they're busy cutting today for the Thanksgiving feast. And she says, please let the students know I send my thoughts and wish them the best as they wrap up the semester. So she wishes she could be here today, but she's a whaling captain's wife and she's very busy. So providing for the community. So with that said, I just want to thank you all for sticking through the whole 2 hours with us. And we hope to see you all next semester. This is one of our biggest highlights for Inupiaq studies. So having you all here with us today really makes, it means a lot to us. So Inupiaq, and hope you all have a great rest of your weekend. And we'll see you all next semester.
Thank you.
Inupiaq, Anagalu.
Anagalu, Ublilo at Tagamautin.
Yeah,